There is also this, victims of violent crime testifying yesterday on pro-criminal policies that forever changed their lives. That includes Amanda Kiefer, who was attacked by an illegal immigrant released by then DA Kamala Harris.
I was a victim of crime in San Francisco back in 2008. I was robbed and my skull was fractured in 2 places. The guy that did it was a convicted felon, illegal immigrant that should have been in jail. No one's taking accountability for failing to keep the American people safe.
And Amanda joins me now. Amanda, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. What you went through in 2008 sounds horrific. So before we get into the politics of all of this, tell us more about what occurred and how it's changed your life.
Well, I was walking to dinner one night in broad daylight in a wealthy, nice neighborhood, Pacific Heights in San Francisco. It's not something you expect to happen to you. My purse was stolen. I stepped into the street, and he happened to get into that car that was sitting there, and it started coming at me. I jumped up on the hood as to avoid getting run over, and he floored it and hit the brakes, and he was laughing while doing this. And I went backwards, of course, and fractured my skull. And the police in San Francisco did a great job. They had captured the guy that did it before I was even in a hospital room. I was in a gurney in the hallway, and I had to ID him. It was a crazy experience. Fortunately, I'm fine now. I get a little vertigo occasionally, but no lasting injuries that affect my life.
But the emotional toll must have been remarkable, and I'm sure something that clearly you still very much reflect on, as anyone would. So the man who did this to you was in the country illegally, and he had been arrested several months earlier on drug charges, but he was released on a program started by Kamala Harris, then DA of San Francisco, as you said. And that program would ironically take people considered to be nonviolent offenders and put them in job training programs. So how do you feel about that? Somebody who could have been in jail at the time of your attack, but was instead in this program, and he did what you said he just did to you.
That's correct. Yes, he was given the option to stay out of prison to train for jobs he couldn't legally hold on the taxpayer dollar.
There's also that. Why would you be part of a job training program when you're in the country illegally and cannot legally obtain a job?
Right.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
It's crazy.
Right.
I mean,
and I know that DA Kamala Harris at the time, she did say that that was a loophole that she wanted to close, but unfortunately it was not closed at the time of your attack. So now Kamala Harris, she's running for president, as you know, and she's been talking a lot about her past as a DA and AG. She even said on the debate stage, "I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings." How do you feel about her claiming to be tough on crime now?
It's laughable. I mean, I'm just kind of speechless at that. The crime in San Francisco was so bad when I was there, and I've heard that it's gotten so much worse even since then due to liberal policies. If that's how the rest of the country is going to be under Kamala Harris as a president, that's just scary. It really is.
It's true. So we also want to ask you about this photo, Amanda. It was taken at a hearing that took place this week. It shows Jerry Nadler and an aide. And I don't know if he is sleeping, but it certainly doesn't look like he's engaged. His aide is on his cell phone. And the reason this is important is because the women who were testifying, many of them had children who were victims of illegal immigrant crime, like Patty Morin, whose daughter Rachel Morin was raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant. How do you feel about that image?
Even yesterday, there weren't many members of Congress that were there on the Democrat side. They think this is irrelevant. They're not interested. To be that callous, to not want to hear the stories of the people who have lost their loved ones to crime caused by having an open border of unvetted invaders basically coming into this country. It's just, it shows you exactly where their mindset is.
Yeah, you go into...
They don't prioritize it.
Yeah, you go into office, you want to become a politician to change things like that and impact people's lives in a positive way, not look bored while they're telling their horrific stories. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad that you're here today to tell us yours. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Absolutely.